FX presents the Indu Podcast with your host, T. Sterling Watson.
Good morning, Indubians. I'm T. Sterling Watson.
And I'm Courtney.
This is the Indu Podcast, where morning drive time meets late night talk show, and we aim to entertain, enlighten, and provide an auditory escape. Thank you for stopping by and pressing play. This is episode 109. We are in the depths of September. And gentle reminder, please subscribe and share with your friends, cohorts, and comrades, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Comrades, cohorts, countrymen, lend me your ears. How are you, Courtney? How are you doing?
I'm fabulous. How are you doing?
I'm pretty well. I'm getting a little sad because I'm running out of gummy bears again, but that's neither here nor there. I just happened to look at my gummy bear stash, and I'm disheartened. So,
well, fortunately, we live in a country where we can order things online fairly quickly and easily. So hopefully that cheers you up.
yes, you're right. And I've been thinking about it, and I know Amazon has these like dash buttons. So I'm considering maybe getting one of those, but for the Albanese brand of gummy bears, which does not sponsor this podcast. But hey, we are welcome to your sponsorship. I don't know who I need to contact about that, but they make the best gummy bears. Like, I don't eat any other. I mean, you can give me all the Black Forest gummy bears you want. I'm probably just going to give them away because they aren't the quality that Albanese brand gummy bears give me. And it's not just gummy bears, mind you, dear Courtney and dear listener. They do make gummy worms. They make
what?
Yes. They do make the sour gummy bears as well, and sour gummy worms as well. And they have a whole variety. They make gummy butterflies. They have the gummy like peach rings. I mean, you can actually buy a whole variety pack, and they'll give you like about 6 or 7 different kinds of Albanese brand gummies, and they're all delicious.
That's insane.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And mind you, and I mean, I'm sitting here telling you about this, and you actually sent me a tweet like several weeks ago about someone who bought this particular brand, and there's like 12 flavors, and this person is trying to distinguish each flavor based on the color. But yeah, it's a thing of beauty. It's a lovely thing, and shout out to my sister who actually put me on to this. So that's why I'm like so adamant. Like, you know, if you're gonna get me gummy bears, make it Albanese, because nothing else compares. They are the world's best. That is their slogan, and it's true. So
I was about to say, did you just make that up? Because that was kind of amazing, but you didn't.
Well, I mean, the world's best, that's written on the bag. But other than that, everything else, you know, I'm just speaking from the heart, because they are so dear, so
nice.
Yeah, they're great. It's my favorite brand. It's great. It's one of my go-to snacks. If I'm going to the movies, I need to stop at a store that sells them, pick them up, and then bring them with me. And my top 3 flavors. Oh, by the way, on Amazon, you can actually order by flavor. Like, if you just want only the cherry ones, you can do that. You get a 5-pound bag of cherry gummy bears.
Wow.
Yes.
That's something to know.
It is. I mean, for those people who are fanatics like I am, you can just go ahead and mix up your own crazy bag. So I think what I'm going to do in the future, I'll buy by cherry, green apple, and grape, and then mix that up, and then that'll be my that should last me for like a month, maybe.
That's it?
I mean, it is a lot. I mean, I don't eat them every day. I feel like I do sometimes. And what I will do, I put them in, like, it sounds crazy, but I also have gummy vitamins. But after that's depleted, I will take the gummies and put them in that. And that kind of, you know, pairs it out a little bit. So I'm like, okay, it's like gummies, or not gummies. It's like vitamins, but only a couple of them. So that way I don't eat them all at once like some kind of monster. So
Gotcha.
Yes. That's yeah, I love them. How are you? Did I ask you how you're doing?
You did.
Oh.
You did. I'm doing good. Just, making it day by day.
Well, I mean, keeping on with the trend of consumption in food, you actually went far and beyond gummy bear life and ate like a queen, apparently. I've only seen the one picture, but still that was kind of like fancy royalty kind of esque. So where did you go? What did you have? You told me about it, but I specifically didn't really want to ask you until now what you had, because yeah.
So it was 3 courses. We had opener. Well, it wasn't quite an appetizer. It was like a little, it was a teaser, and it did tease my appetite. So I guess it was an appetizer. But it was like tiny. But anyways, they were basically fried okra, two fried okras, with a like special sauce. Don't ask me what it was, because I said I was going to take the little paper menu, but I forgot it.
Failure.
But I know, so I forget what type of sauce, but it was like really cute or whatever, and it didn't do anything, because like I had already eaten 2 pieces of bread, and I was like, okay, give me some real food. Then they came out with these baby okras, and they were good, but I was like, all right, guys. And then after that, they brought out.
Oh, before you go on, the sauce, you said it wasn't good? You didn't like the sauce?
No, it was good.
Okay. Good. Sorry. All right. Continue.
But it was some type of sauce. But then they brought out a salad, and I use the term salad very loosely because it included all of the ingredients of a salad, but it wasn't like a salad you would think of. So the salad, and I'm using air quotes, was called like a quinoa something salad. So it had quinoa in it.
Okay.
And so look up quinoa if you don't know what it is. It's a type of grain, and it looks like little fish eggs. I
was going to go with tiny rice, but okay.
They're tiny circular fish egg looking rice grains. And
okay,
so
you're right. Okay, yeah, it does look like that.
The quinoa is spelled Quinoa. Looks like quinoa, but
quinoa.
It's quinoa. So, but it came out in a martini glass, and it had 4 like large, like broken off pieces of iceberg lettuce. Maybe not iceberg, but maybe romaine, but like the leafy part of the romaine. And it may have been iceberg because it was lighter colored. Anyway, it was decent. I mean, it's fine lettuce. But like, just imagine the lettuce chunks, because it wasn't broken down. It was just 4 big chunks of lettuce, and they were in there like looking down at a martini glass. You know, one was pointing, upwards. One was pointing downwards, one left, one right. And then the actual salad, like quinoa part, was like in a clump in the middle. Does that make any sense? It
kind of does, yes. Like I feel like I can visualize this, because this would be a really weird way to present a salad. But yeah,
it was interesting. It was very different. But like the stuff on the inside wasn't that much. But I mean, there was 2 courses coming after that. But like there was quinoa, there was pomegranate seeds, there was some type of, I think it was a radish, but it was some type of red sliver, whatever that is. And it had tzatziki sauce at the bottom. So it was a very interesting mix of sweet and just savory. But it was good. So I ate it all. It was good. And then the entree was a steak with like some grilled veggies. There was some carrots, there's cauliflower, there was Brussels sprouts. But the steak, there was also something, and I forget what it's called, because of course I don't have it in front of me, and I didn't take a picture, but it reminded me of grits, like the consistency of it, because like at first we thought it was mashed potatoes, but it was kind of yellow, like a yellow tint to it. And the consistency was kind of like grits. Mm-hmm. It had a nice thick texture, but it was a little bit thicker than grits.
Okay.
But it was some type of, oh, don't give me the lion. Something they do in Italy. Similar to an Italian mashed potato, but it wasn't quite that. So I don't know. It was good though. Anyway, who cares about that? Because the steak was amazing. Me and my dad were talking about how we like our steak medium, like medium rare. We like it a bit pink, red in the middle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But not bleeding, not like dripping blood. That's gross.
Which I've learned is the correct way to eat it. If it's like in the medium area, like it should be some pink in there. So.
Oh, yes. Well, and there was pink in this, but we actually would have normally wanted it to be a little bit more pink or more red even, mm-hmm. but it was just enough pink. But the way my dad and I went with my dad, if you didn't know. So we went, and
was your dad there?
It's because, oh hush. And it was because he knew, like, one of this, it was at a school, a culinary school, and they offer meals. Well, they don't offer them. You have to pay to go, but they cook like a 3 or 4 course meal, and they sell reservations. It's very select. It's like invite only, and you get to come, and they do it like maybe once a month. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's a culinary school, but the class presents a course or like 4 courses. Just as practice, and I bet they get graded on it. So anyway, my dad knew one of the chefs who prepared last night's meal, so he got an invite, and she told us that the steak was first seared on a pan, but just enough to sear it, and they baked the rest of it. Because we were trying to figure out how in the world it was so flavorful still and so moist. It was just such a good steak. And like we didn't have any barbecue sauce, and they say the best steaks don't need barbecue sauce or any type of sauce. They can be eaten just as they are. There was some type of like greenish, it reminded me of pesto, but I don't believe it was pesto. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was about. But we ended up dipping our steak into it. I mean, and it made it better, but it wasn't like an overpowering. It wasn't trying to cover up a burn up or it didn't need it. It really did just enhance it. So I ate like half the steak though before I even realized, I should probably dip my steak in that and see what it tastes like. So I got really the best of both worlds. But really the steak was just. So I'll be thinking about it. It was a ribeye, so it was a bit fatty. Mm-hmm. But I'm okay with the fat. I probably shouldn't be, but I ate all of the fatty bits.
You kind of need that for a good steak. You need like some marbling happening because it bounces. Yeah, that's where you get like the juices, and that whole.
I think so.
That whole searing before you bake it is a technique I've always heard about and read about, but I've never actually done myself. So I need to start.
Oh my gosh. Yes, do that. I've never made steak. I've never cooked it. I'm actually pretty new to the steak world. I've not, just in like recent years is when I've kind of gotten into steak, but oh my goodness, I loved it. It was so good. So good. Best part of the whole meal.
Could I throw I'm not sure if this is what you were trying to think of earlier, but polenta? Was that what it?
Yes. Okay. That's exactly what it is. Is it Italian mashed potatoes?
It's an Italian cuisine, whereas grits are a Southern staple. It's made from yellow corn and white corn. Mm-hmm. Wait, no,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we knew that. That makes sense because, like I said, we thought it was mashed potatoes just because of how it looked. Mm-hmm. But then we bit into, we ate it, and it's like a lot bit thicker. Like I said, it tasted and it felt like grits, but it was actually a little bit thicker than a Southern grit to me. But yeah, polenta's very good. Thank you.
No problem. fastest
So
in the East.
I know, right? So then it was time for us to move on to dessert. And dessert, like I knew, we got the menu beforehand, and as you can probably tell, we don't choose anything. They just kind of tell us what we're getting on the menu, and we go for it.
You have to deal with it.
Yeah, you just have to deal with it. Like I dealt with the coconut dish that they presented for dessert. So I'm not a coconut fan.
Neither am I.
Sometimes I can handle a coconut flavor,
Mm-hmm.
but if the flavor is like too coconutty, then it's not for me. And especially if it has actual bits of coconut flakes in it,
Gross.
it's going to be a no for me, bro. So it was a no for me because it was this really cute, like round, it was a mousse. That's what it was. It was a mousse. And it had like this breaded crust at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked amazing. And it had like this cherry glaze, I call it, just kind of spread out to the side. So if you wanted to dip, a bite of coconut mousse in it, you could.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and I really wanted to taste it, and I was really, really hoping that it was just the coconut flavor rather than actual bits of coconut in it. But no, I was disappointed. There were actual bits of crunchy, gritty, disgusting coconut bits in it. And I admittedly ate a few bites because I'm just like, maybe it's not throughout the whole mousse, or maybe it's not in the breaded crust, or maybe this, maybe that. And I was disappointed every time.
Because it was
now the taste, it was all mixed in there. So I had to not eat the coconut mousse to save my mental health. Take care of me, self-care.
Right.
But the taste was actually okay outside of the coconut.
I mean, because that texture could really ruin it. So,
and it did ruin it. So, I mean, because you can't bite into a freaking mousse and then
right,
is what you hear in your mouth, like,
or hear
so
and feel. As I described to you earlier, the shavings or with the barely edible shavings of grimy plastic.
They're grimy and they're disrespectful. That's really what it is. That's really what it boils down to. So I could not finish the coconut mousse, but other than the actual coconut flakes, it was very delicious, and it actually was a really, really light ending to a full meal. It was a really good ending to it. So. I'll take off a few points because it's coconut and like real coconut, but other than that, I was happy with the whole meal.
Oh, well, I'm sorry that your experience was sullied by that coconut experience, but
yes, it was. Thank you for your condolences.
I mean, I felt you when you described it to me, and you sent me the picture, and I will put you on blast a little bit. It was the only picture you had, because I would have at least liked to see the steak.
Oh God, I'm so disappointed that I didn't take a picture of the steak because I've been dreaming about it. So it'd be nice to like actually see it. It was such a good steak. I've been thinking about that all day. Like, oh my God, that steak was amazing. And it was. And
it's actually been a while since I made any steak, so I might have to go ahead and do this, and then maybe I may or may not send you pictures of like, hey, guess what I made? Yeah. That's
really trifling. But okay. I mean, I get it. I deserve it, I guess.
I guess. I don't know. But I mean, the picture that you did send of this coconut thing that was
atrocity,
right? Ruined. Because
strong, right?
Like you said, it's a mousse. It should be like smooth and just like going down, but instead you have these infractions all throughout. That's just like.
I mean, you couldn't like eat around it. You couldn't even see, like there were some that were sprinkled on top or like on the plate for garnish, but the ones that were just created within the actual mousse, I'm like, that is just not fair. I can't eat around it. I can't avoid it.
Right.
And that was that. Like every bite had coconut in it, period. They were like, you don't get this coconut, period.
It's going to be stuck in your teeth and everything, and you're just going to deal with it. We want you to experience this, and I don't get it. But either way, it sounds like you had a great experience, a great time. I did I did envy you because I'm like, I don't think I've actually ever had it's 5 courses, right? It was because you had your
Sure. You got the little appetizer, the
appetizer.
salad. It's like 4. It was 4 courses.
4? Okay. I don't think I've done 4
I think
courses.
technically 4. Yeah.
Right. Because this harkens back to my idea, which I have still yet to do. And actually, this might be a good idea to do for a birthday party and do what I'm calling the tour de food instead of like a tour de force. And I would just basically restaurant hop for each course of the meal. So we go to one restaurant for the appetizer, another restaurant for, I don't know, a salad, I suppose, but a really good salad because you can have a really good
sure.
Yeah, maybe. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then a next one for the main course, and then a last one for dessert, and maybe one more if you want to get like a coffee. You stop at like a coffee shop or whatever. I don't care, whatever. But at least three to 4 places, and that would be the tour de food. And I would assume, or not assume, but I would want to do this with a band of merry foodies, so that way perhaps we can all kind of share in the total cost of everything. So maybe we all kind of, take turns, or we all come together and pay for everything. So it's just not one person spending a whole bunch of money on this, unless that one person happens to have deep pockets and can afford it. So that's neither here nor there. But that's tour de food. Should anyone ever want to do that and run with it, or if they've already done it, I would love to know that experience and share. But either way, this sounds like a great time that you had. You got to live like the elite for a little while and try all these things and these weird. Well, like you said, it was like a culinary school, so people were kind of not experimenting, but making these dishes. And did you have to fill out like any surveys afterwards, or it's just?
I didn't. So I don't know how it worked exactly. I know that our chef friend had to. Like, she had to take pictures of the food. So I'm like, maybe we can just get pictures of that. But I know that she has to, take pictures, and she has to write up a number of words or a number of something for the dishes. I know that she did something on every dish. I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know if she helped to prep every dish or if she actually prepared some part of each dish, but it's definitely a team effort. It was about 5 or 6 chefs in the back, and like we could see them preparing. We could see their kitchen through this glass pane where we were. It's a very small, like only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 tables, and they, there was only 2 of us at our table. There was one table that had, they had to have had 8 or 10 people. But only about 7 tables, and so it's a very small, very exclusive thing.
And did you hear Gordon Ramsay swearing in the background too?
No.
Okay.
We didn't. We were actually looking at them, just kind of watching, and we were trying to figure out who the teacher was. And so I guessed a guy, and then my dad just kind of went with me, and we were both wrong. So yeah, it was someone that I didn't even. Yeah. So,
it was a rat under somebody's hat, wasn't it?
No, probably, because they all wore hats of some sort. So I didn't see any really tall hats. So I was very disappointed in that. I was like, what kind of establishment is this? Y'all ain't got the tall, like, chef hats? What is this place? But they made good food regardless. Missed opportunity, in my opinion, but whatever.
I guess so. I will admit I do look for that too, because like it's in all my cartoons. So where is the infamous chef hat? Not
right.
Come on, let's get together. It's 2019. Where are the chef hats?
Agreed.
Anyway, I do have some amendments from last episode.
Okay.
Well, actually, this is turning out to be more of a bit of a shout out, because some things have happened over the last couple of days. Some things have transpired. So first of all, I do need to, like I said, there's an amendment to the car spice story, as I told last episode, why I have the spices in my car. And I was speaking to my partner about this, and my partner was like, why didn't you mention it was me? So this is a shout out to Ashley, who I was at her house making, what was I making? I think I was making chicken at the time. So basically I'm shouting her out. This is the person. I was at her house making chicken.
Mm-hmm.
The spices returned to my car, but they never actually left my car. And in fact, they're still there now because I feel like I have a reputation to hold. So,
yeah. So like, who on you for not like, she's a very important, like, part of the story, and you didn't even like, but okay, because it just makes it seem like you're a crazy person for literally carrying spices in your car
and just going to random friends' house like, hey, I'm putting spices in your food because I don't think you should.
You need help with your dish, right?
Like so at all. I came over to cook food that I brought, and I needed my seasonings with me. I mean, she's got plenty of seasonings as well, and wonderful, just everything. But I was like, let me bring some of my stuff. So that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So this is both an apology and also it's like a shout out to, hey, Ashley, I am mentioning you by name. I was at your house cooking food.
And you're the reason for the car spices.
I am. And, I mean, she is. Yes, she is the reason for the car spices. She's behind that whole thing inadvertently because sometimes I'm lazy when I put things in my car. I don't always bring them out or take them back to where they need to go. So, yes. So another shout out is to a coworker. In fact, this is going to be a whole segment in this episode now, or not the whole this particular episode, because I'm going to. It's a bit of a story. One of my co-hosts, not one of my coworkers.
I thought you were going to say cohort.
I know. So many co's. My co-worker, Art, he is getting a shout out because he suggested some other co-workers to be on the show, or I should have them on the podcast. And I'm like, first of all, sir, have you listened lately? And he was like, no, I haven't. So he actually did. He listened to the episode where we discussed songwriters, like our favorite songwriters and such.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, good job. He came and gave me commentary about what he was listening to and stuff that he found funny. So I'm like, oh, he finds us entertaining. So thank you.
Aww.
So,
yay.
Yes, shout out to him. And what he wanted was to have one of our other coworkers, Fazal, on the show because he actually is a very entertaining person. It's almost like every week he comes with a story of something that has happened to him over the weekend. Yeah, he's quite a character. Even if there isn't a story to be told, there are things that he just does around the warehouse at work that he just does. That's just like, wow, this is something.
This is your life.
Right, exactly. And I mean, it does make the mood and the atmosphere at work that much more tolerable and pleasant, despite everyone's, I don't want to say everyone, but sometimes we may act like, no, we don't need you to sing. That's okay. But he'll do it anyway, or he'll just make up his own lyrics to whatever song he feels like singing at the time. So, yeah, that's Fazal. But the person in particular that I would like to speak on today, and this is another shout out to Tito, who actually suggested that I change everybody's name to protect the guilty. But since I've already started doing shout outs to specific people, I could not talk about the next person without actually saying his name, because I even told him to his face, like, hey, you know what? You've said too many, you've crossed the line. I need to talk about you on the podcast because you've done too many things. And in fact, I was almost
Tito?
Not to Tito. Tito told me I'm going to have to change everybody's name.
Oh, okay. Well, he's done a lot of atrocious acts before himself, so just saying.
A number of stories as well. Yes, he has. But this
love you, Tito.
Yes, Tito. He's great. He taught me everything I need to know to survive at my current workplace. But this character here, who goes by the name of Randy, I was actually going to mention him in the group chat, but I decided to go to Twitter because I've already talked about him on Twitter. And I'm like, you know what? This is too big. I need to bring it to the podcast because normally I don't talk about my coworkers. And again, this is why, like, and that's not why, but I normally don't mention people by name on the podcast unless it's integral to the story. And again, this doesn't make up for Ashley not mentioning her because she was very integral.
That's different, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she needed to be named. Yeah.
Right. It was just out of habit that I just said, yeah, a friend of mine. But no, this is my partner, Ashley. But no, we're talking about Randy now. Randy, I kind of wrote out a list, and the list may be incomplete. I don't remember all the things that he has done. But there are things that he has, I don't know what it is. I think he's trying to, oh, wow, that was another infraction. I think it started with Game of Thrones. He told me he was a Game of Thrones fan. And as we know, the last season wrapped up this year. So
and it was terrible. Right? I mean, that's what you were going to say next, right?
It was mixed, but I mean, they should have ended it like at episode 3, where they had the battle and everything, because that was a good episode. They could have ended it right there.
But they didn't.
They didn't. They kept going and doing things that were inexplicable. So, with this being the event, like one of the many events of like the year, let's say, and people tuning in record numbers to see how this all goes down, and Monday morning coming to work, I know of at least like 2 people I can go talk to about what had transpired. In fact, Fazal is actually brought back up in this because he also says he was a fan. So I'm like, okay, I've got Fazal and I've got Randy. I could talk to him and we could discuss the events that transpired with some real fans, where I consider myself a fake fan because I'm like, I'm only watching because everybody else is watching and I don't want to have FOMO when involved with this. And I don't have a strong interest in it, but I know the characters, I know the general plot line, and I'm just kind of following along and make conversation. So, episodes premiere, and this has happened repeatedly, what I'm about to describe, but I'll come to work all jazzed up and ready to just discuss. And both of these people, but more so Randy than Fazal, did not watch. In fact, they let it kind of build up. Like they kept giving me excuses of why they could not watch Game of Thrones live like the rest of the world.
Right. Okay.
The excuse that Randy gave me is that he was watching Peaky Blinders on Netflix.
Something that is there all the time because it's on a streaming service.
Exactly.
All the time.
All the time.
Oh,
at any time.
But any time.
Yes. Because first he was saying it was too late. Like, okay, I guess. And like, I got kids or whatever. But then he later admitted. See, I think that's one of his issues. He'll tell me one thing and then he'll add to it to make it worse. Like, I could have let you go with what you just said.
But you kept talking.
And you made it worse for yourself. So so I'm calling you out on that, sir. And I did. And that was, I think that may have been one of the first things he did. And I can't go by like chronological order because I don't remember. But the list continues. I think it may have been a week or so later. Art actually comes back into the story, and he is discussing, I guess, best rap groups. There's some history thing going on at the time, and A Tribe Called Quest came up. And I think like best of songs, and maybe they were talking about Scenario, or Scenario was playing. But Randy had no knowledge of this song or A Tribe Called Quest.
Wow.
Yes.
What was the song? Do you remember?
Scenario.
Oh, Scenario.
Yeah. Which for me was my introduction, and I feel like maybe the world's introduction to Busta Rhymes, because he's got like that infamous last verse, and that's just kind of his thing, where he should always be the last rapper on a posse record like this. So yeah. But yeah, he had never heard of A Tribe Called Quest, and then he later tried to defend himself, saying like, that was before my time. And I'm like, dude, we are the same age, and that does not fly, because even if they came out before our time, they are still active. They actually put out an album earlier, either this year or late last year, but very recent.
Also, like, classics just kind of follow you. They grow with you. You don't have to be of an era to understand its importance.
Exactly.
So that's a terrible, terrible, and very thinly veiled excuse. So, poo on you, sir.
Yes.
Poo on you.
The poo will continue to fling. because I think probably within
There's more?
there is more. There is more. Probably within the same day or week, he had admitted to me that he did not know what Midnight Train to Georgia was. He thought it was a movie.
No.
Yes. So I'm like, that's this Gladys Knight in the Pips. What's
right. Right.
here? Gets worse. I'm going to actually stay within the same musical realm, because we then, on the radio at the warehouse, it was playing, I want to say Just My Imagination was playing at the time. I don't know. For some reason, the Temptations came up, and I'm like, okay, good. And I think it was playing, and I quizzed him just to redeem some points. Hopefully he could redeem himself, and he got it correct. And we're like, okay, good. The Temptations, good job. You know who that is. And then he added on, it's like, yeah, Smokey Robinson was the best in that group. I'm like, oh no.
Oh my God. He wasn't serious though, was he?
He was serious. He was like, no, he was he was the best singer on that group. I'm like, oh no.
This is hard. He really tried it, didn't he? He tried it.
And this is what I mean, where he would go so far and to say something, and then it would just be a little bit worse. I'm like, oh, you were so close. There's other things. The next thing that, and this one I had a witness. He's one of the other managers, although he's like the manager of the warehouse, and somehow the topic of the Twilight Zone came up, and then he asked me what it was.
Wait, what?
Yeah. He asked me, what is the Twilight Zone? I was like, is that like a movie or something? And I'm like, oh, you poor soul. Right. Yeah. But I didn't really have to say anything. The manager of the warehouse kind of went in like, where have you been? What is wrong with you? And how do you not know? Like, it's been around forever. Way before. Right. And how have you never heard anyone say, oh, we're living in the Twilight Zone? How does this just get past you? How, Sway? How? Right. Oh. Yeah. So this is hard. This week, and this is what I almost put it in our group chat with Berto, who also gets a shout out, but I was gonna shout him out a little bit later. And this actually ties into our word watch for this episode.
Word watch.
Because I don't remember what it was we were discussing, but I threw out the words poppycock and hogwash, which, as you know, like would you want to give a synonym to what those could possibly mean?
No, I want you to do it.
Okay. Basically nonsense. You literally put them in Google. Each time it will come out nonsense. And I may have incorrectly told Randy that poppycock is a candy bar, but I think I meant fiddle faddle, which also means nonsense, which also may be a candy bar. So I say these words to him. He's never heard these words before. And he thought they were like some kind of like Harry Potter words, which...
Oh.
So I'm like, well...
So cute.
I mean, the first time I've ever heard them in context, they were from like British slang, more or less. Like I may have heard them maybe in Mary Poppins, and I forget exactly how we got into Mary Poppins, but he had also admitted to me that he's never seen Mary Poppins, doesn't really know what it is. Like, she's a lady with an umbrella, right? And I'm like, oh my.
Oh dear. Now I will admit I've never seen Mary Poppins either, the old or the new. I just wasn't interested in a kid. I either wasn't allowed or I wasn't interested, or both. But
how are you not allowed?
I don't know. That may not have been the case. I really don't remember. I just don't remember ever really watching it. And so when the new one, came out, of course I was interested because I love Emily Blunt and I love Lin-Manuel Miranda, but I was just like, meh, this wasn't part of my childhood. I don't really care. So I haven't seen it. Yes, I know it's on Netflix. Yes, I know it was amazing, but I just.
But at least you knew who she was. Like, you had a general idea.
Yes.
I don't know. I just like. I guess at this point I'm not surprised by the things that he doesn't know. It's just, I guess maybe it's surprising still, because I'm like, how did you not know? Like, where did you come from? Like.
I guess I just want to know what he does know at this point. Like, no judgment.
Right.
But what do you know?
Right. Well, he told me he knows sports. I'm like, I can't help you there. But
Okay, cool.
But I can't. And this has actually come up recently for me too. When it comes to sports, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I do know a lot of things, and I can glaze over some sports facts depending on like the actual sport. But overall, I kind of steer clear from it. But everything else, I can kind of follow along. I know I have a general understanding, a grasp of knowledge of these other things. But yeah, I don't know. It's always been a delight and an interest in talking to him and finding like what he knows about and what he doesn't. And then like, and then he tried to trip me up, or not even trip me up, but tried to, I don't know, turn the tables, because I was sorting paperwork at the time, and I used the phrase, "I'm sorry, I'm thinking out loud," because I was actually doing something and, kind of thinking out loud. And he said, "Thinking out loud, that's an interesting phrase. Like, why did you say that? Like, that makes no sense to me." It's like, fine, I'm vocalizing.
He said that?
Well, it's something to that effect. He didn't like the term, so I changed it. I said, "I'm vocalizing my thoughts." Is that better? Because still the same thing.
What? I'm so confused at why he doesn't think that that's
I don't know.
That's not new? Like, you didn't make that up?
Well, no, I don't think it was new. I think he just had a problem with the phrase. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm not sure, but
who hurt him though?
I think that's what it is. He's been hurt by
somebody hurt him.
By pop culture, by words. I mean, words are hard. That is our phrase. That is something that I probably need to bring to the trademark office at some point.
I think so.
Yeah, but
start monetizing that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Someone did hurt him, and this is a call to action or a plea. Who hurt you, Randy? Tell us.
We're here for you, buddy. Yeah. We're here to help.
And that's all this is. And we care. That's why we're talking about you, with you, to you. Mm-hmm. We care. So
all of the above.
All of the above. And yeah, so these are some of the things I go through at work, and these things help me get through the day, because I really do enjoy these interactions with all these people. So with all the malarkey that goes on, and yes, that is a word that he really likes. So that's why I'm using it.
That's a really good word. It's like a $15 word, I'd say.
It is. Not as much fun as not as much fun as it was for me to spring poppycock on him and for him to just be like, "What did you
lose it?"
Yeah.
I don't understand why he. Okay.
I mean, the facial expressions he gives me sometimes when I say certain things, like, "What, you've never heard this before? Where have you been? Where did you come from?" Like, he must be an alien. I don't know. It's strange to me. So, Well, we did mention Berto a little while ago, and prior to recording, he had filled us in how all of his friends have abandoned him. Like, they've all gone to like Paris and China and the moon and everything, and just
without him. Right. Like, literally, they're in space, and he's here. Watching a crappy movie.
Dark
that
Phoenix.
We shall not name.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. I already named it.
Wasn't gonna name it. You're just giving it more power.
What power? Like, Disney already sucked all the power out of it. So,
True fact.
They had the nerve to run a commercial. It's like, "Hey, we're now streaming, so you can stream this movie now if you want." Like, if you want.
But bro, nobody wants to. That's a terrible lead-in.
It is. You still haven't gotten to watch it yet, did you? You said you didn't watch it, right?
No. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I didn't. I love the Dark Phoenix story. I love so much about X-Men, and even the new class, or the reboot. They're not new, but they're the rebooted old class, and I love them, but I couldn't, man. It got so much negative press before it even came out. I was like, do I want to? And then
yes.
the answer was no, so I did.
Yes, you do. I want you to watch it so we can talk about it. and we'll
drag me down to the pits.
It's nice down here. We have candy.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. We got the gummy bears. I told you about the gummy bears from the top of the show.
Okay.
but yes, please do watch it because it is terrible. I mean, but there are saving graces. There are like some really good fight scenes, and I mean, I'm not even like being sarcastic about it. Like, I really enjoyed some of the fight scenes that happened. Granted, you have to go through a lot of like what is happening to get to it. But it's, and as I said, how did I phrase it in the chat? It's a spectacular failure of something. I'm trying to find it because I'm like, this is a pretty good review. Like, I could see this on a DVD box cover. It's a spectacular failure to the end of a long misfiring franchise. So
it's pretty good, actually.
Thank you.
You did good.
Thank you. I'm available, Disney and Albanese, and who else trying to market to lately? There's some,
whoever.
Third Love for bras. Yeah.
Oh, the bras, yeah.
Right.
Those are really cute bras too, by the way.
I've never actually looked at them because, I mean, why would I? Because I'm not really in the market for them. But I would sell them. I will help.
Yeah.
Be a sponsor. So.
Half the world's population need them.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And even some men who've got moobs, they probably can use them too.
Oh, that word is a word.
It's not today's word. Today's word is poppycock. But yeah. Okay. But yes, that's a shout out to Berto. Berto, we are with you in spirit.
But from afar.
From afar, yes. And the movie that has already been named. And that was going to be a theme too. Like I was going to open up with like those who shall not be named, and I was even going to name Voldemort because again, I actually was recently watching Harry Potter, and they're talking about it's like, oh, he who shall not be named. I was like, who? Voldemort? And like, yeah. So
Voldemort.
I'll be just blunt about it and just start naming names. And that was going to be the whole topic of this episode is naming names, and just come on out because we're calling you out. I also want to call out BET for having the audacity, the scruples to decide to come out with their own streaming service.
Ugh,
yeah.
Jesus.
They've announced some of the stuff that they want to bring out, and I love my people. I love Black people, but I've never been a true fan of Black entertainment television. And every so often, the network. Every so often, they will come out with something that does pique my interest. Sometimes some of the miniseries that come out, those can be interesting. Some of the award shows I may watch from time to time, and just giving Black people jobs, like creativity jobs, and all of that's great.
Yeah.
In fact, even the stuff that they plan on putting on the streaming service, I'm happy for the Black people that will be working, but the stuff that they are going to be streaming, I have no interest in. So.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I did hear some interesting comments about like, okay, shouldn't this really good content be available on the regular platform, just the regular cable network? Why are you saving all the good stuff for the streaming service, which is putting an even, arguably putting even more of a barrier to good Black generated art. So what gives BET?
I think they're following the model of everyone else, like CBS All Access. Like
I know.
They did that too. So,
but that is also, it just goes to show that they're just so out of touch, and have been for a while with what folks are wanting and what they're watching. So, I don't watch BET. That's just, honestly, that was not my opinion. That was one that really just stood out to me, and it seemed to come from a genuine, valid place. But you're also talking to somebody who has very strong feelings about the whole streaming service craze that's happening, and that is going to continue happening, because we all know that eventually they're going to start selling packages. They're kind of already doing that now, but start selling packages of these streaming services, and we're going to cycle back to cable again. It's crazy how this is going to work. But,
that's kind of the climate that we're in when it comes to this. And for me, I just don't feel like BET has the name or the caliber to go up against other channels that are doing this, such as, CBS has kind of proven that I guess it's successful enough. I don't really know. I haven't looked at the numbers, but the fact that Disney is coming out with one, HBO, or actually Warner Brothers, but it's under the HBO brand. And who's the other one? NBC is coming out with theirs. What they're naming theirs Peacock, which I'm like, I guess.
Are they really?
That's what they're calling it.
Oh, bless their heart.
And I really do think it was a brilliant idea for Warner Brothers with their platform, because I think they're going to call it like Warner Media or something, but they changed it to HBO Max. So I'm like, okay, go under the HBO name. That actually does.
Oh, yeah, that's smart. And because nobody's going to buy it if it's WB.
Right. But once I realized what it was that they were selling, and of course, it's like a whole bunch of Warner Brothers property, such as DC Universe under that. So I'm going to cancel the current DC Universe subscription that I have, which I bought for my dad for Father's Day, I believe. So I already told him, like, yeah, I'm canceling that. Once HBO Max comes out, we're going to get that instead, because it's already going to be included, as well as all the HBO's content, as well as the Boondocks will be returning with 2 new seasons.
What?
A 50-minute special.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
I should have had you do the breaking news, because this literally came out today, like this afternoon.
Oh, man. I did not know. That's kind of amazing.
All of their original episodes will be uploaded, and a 50-minute special of some sort. I don't know. All of that is coming.
Wow.
HBO Max. I already decided, like, I'm throwing my money at you, but I don't know how much harder I need to throw it at them, because I want this today. So HBO Max already has my money. We already talked about Disney Plus. They already have my money.
Yeah.
Peacock or NBC, because I still don't know how I feel about that name, but your streaming service, I don't know if I want to give you my money yet. I know you are hoarding, or
Did you say your little? Listen, did you say your little streaming service? You are garbage.
Well, I mean, they have, claim they have proper rights to a lot of their material, such as they want to hoard, whatchamacallit, Parks and Rec. So they're going to take it off. Oh, yeah, The Office too. Yes, The Office is a stronger pull for some people. Not so much for me. I don't hate it. It's just it hasn't been.
What?
I'm saying I don't hate it. I do not hate it. I
just don't understand who you are anymore.
I like it. It's just I think I'm on that minority that maybe likes Parks and Rec a little bit more than The Office.
Oh my God.
And
I thought we were friends.
We are.
I don't know.
I've watched every episode at least once.
Oh God. Oh my gosh. Jeez.
I believe, are they also the ones, is NBC, they're keeping Friends? Or are they gaining Friends? Is that it? I mean, the show Friends, not they have Friends.
I don't know. I hadn't heard anything about Friends. I know that Seinfeld. I heard the news that Seinfeld is now streaming on Netflix.
Right.
But I don't know about Friends. Apparently, I don't know why that's such a big deal.
Well, because Seinfeld has been long considered like the greatest sitcom ever. And
Mm-hmm.
it was made a big deal when Hulu acquired the rights, so the licensing rights. And I did for a little while start watching it over there because I'm like, hey, I realized I never actually finished my whole rewatch of it. Like I'd keep watching or rewatching like the first like 3 or 4 seasons, minus season 1 because season 1 is terrible. But that's part of its amazing story. Is wow, I'm such a nerd because I know like a lot of history when it comes to Seinfeld and how it achieved its rank of superiority. And how it was one of those shows that knew when to leave and didn't overstay its welcome. And like, even when it left with a fizzle. And a lot of people are like, really? That's how it ends? But I'm like, if you watch how it began, I mean, it
started with a fizzle?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Like not even a fizzle. Like, oh wow, it should have been canceled like from the first season because it wasn't great, but apparently people had enough faith in it that season 2, it did a whole change, a whole turnaround, and it got much better. Like Parks and Rec, actually. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I thought Seinfeld was going to end up with HBO Max as well, but Netflix got it. So yeah, so we'll see how that goes. It's almost a trade-off, an interesting trade-off at that, where they'll lose The Office and Friends, but gain Seinfeld, even though for some people that means nothing because they're like, no.
That means nothing to me.
Not my Office. See, and
period of mourning.
I know, but I was going to say you're still going to have a streaming service that has it, but you might not unless you get.
I'm not getting NBC. No, not getting it. I don't want it. Not interested. No, thank you.
Thing. No, you don't want that.
No, I don't want it. Nope.
So
I will just have to finally own The Office.
I guess so.
I'm gonna have to bite the bullet.
Right. Or you can actually purchase the streaming thing, so you don't actually have to own the physical discs.
But then I'll be paying for it forever. And then I have to own NBC. Like, that's the biggest thing I think that you're missing.
I mean, you can purchase the, like digitally. You can purchase it digitally. So it'll be in your cloud.
Oh, yeah.
So then you can watch it anytime you want. You don't have to worry about commercials. You don't have to be asked or bothered. Like, are you still watching?
Like, just, please stop talking to me. Like, I want to just let it stream forever. Like, stop asking so many questions.
Right, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
See, I'm here to help you. I'm your friend. I told you I was your friend. I'll be there for you.
Oh, good. Don't do it.
That was for Frieza. Because whenever there's Friends news, I think of her because that's one of her favorite shows. Even though I read an article recently how they're saying, like, can we just come to the understanding that this is like the worst show ever? I'm like, is it? I mean, I'm not
I wouldn't know. I've never watched it.
Oh, I'm not a hater.
Never.
Am I a lover of Friends? So, yeah.
That's an interesting position to take. Like a non-position.
I mean, if I were to stand on either side, I guess I would stand on the friend of Friends side. So.
Okay. All right.
Because I have watched it.
I'll let you have that one.
Yeah, and I know the characters. And I can't quite figure out who is my favorite. At times, I do feel like a bit of a Chandler, but I get it. I don't know. We'll see. It was a recent episode on another favorite podcast. What is it? Oh my God, it's the one you introduced me to. Mark and Hal.
Oh yeah.
We got this. Yeah. Yeah.
We got this.
Yes. So they chose who was the best friend. Yeah. So that was they had a whole episode of trying to figure out which one out of 6. So yes, Friends. But yeah, I actually want to move on to the reviews.
How many of it happened? What's that song before we move on?
How many friends? How many of us has them?
How many of us have them?
So Friends. Well,
anyways, I just thought of the song. Friends.
I think it's a line in a song.
Isn't it called? Sure, we'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out later. Yeah. And people might be tweeting us like, it's this song. I'm like, yeah. Where's Berto when you need him? Like,
yeah. I know, right?
Yeah. He'll be back. He doesn't know it yet, but he'll be back soon.
Sipping wine or something.
He is living his best life watching the worst movie. So
at home. Not in space.
Right, not in space. We love you, Berto.
It's okay, Berto.
Yes.
We aren't either. So
yeah. But yes, a quick review. Did you get to watch RGB since we talked about it last episode?
No.
See, you're supposed to.
I don't want to talk about it.
You're supposed to watch this documentary. Well, we'll talk about that later.
I've been having a lot happening.
I know. You've been writing. You've been eating the best foods. I get it. Living your best life. It's a great documentary. Check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. I thought it was on Hulu. Maybe it's
on Hulu.
It's on Hulu? Okay.
It's on Hulu.
It was showing up on Prime for some reason. But either way, check it out.
They can pay for it there, but
maybe.
Yeah.
RGB, check it out. She's a spectacular, legendary woman. You actually get to see her laugh. I'll say that.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to tell you how or why she was laughing, because even in that made me laugh. So the fact that she was laughing, making her laugh, made me laugh. Like, yeah, great.
I love her so much. I have to watch it ASAP.
Yes, please do. I also watched The Island, which is a new show on Netflix, which almost means nothing because they premiere new things and it's just hard to keep up. But
every day.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The Island, or even what you can even call it, The One Land, because they even say that by the end of the show. And it's a miniseries, so it's as far as I know, I don't think they're going to do any more seasons. I kind of hope not, because it's kind of good as it is, self-contained, 7 episodes. And it's not terrible. It is terribly predictable, though. So take that as you will.
So not terrible, but terribly predictable.
Right.
Okay.
It does have very strong flecks of another show about an island, like Lost, but not as confusing.
Yeah.
In fact, it'll come out and tell you, like, hey, this is what we are. Like, you'll find out pretty much most of what you need to know by, I don't know, episode 3 or 4. But like I said, it's 7 episodes. So instead of 100 and something like Lost is, there are mystery elements to it. Kate Bosworth, who was a name I've always recognized, but I didn't know who she was until Kate Bosworth. But she actually really has some great acting in this show. So I'm recommending it for her acting, because she comes off as like a stone cold, just hard, just who would like you? But later on in the series, you kind of like, oh, okay, I'm coming around to you. Like, oh, wow, give her props. Like, she needs an award for this. For that. But also the main star, whose name I should know. I believe her last name is Martinez. Oops, I didn't write her name down. But also watch it for her, because she's pretty awesome in it. And then there's a black actor whose names I didn't write anybody's name down. Let me pull up the IMDb page. This is getting terrible. Who for me was giving me strong Sterling K. Brown vibes, but in a good way. So I really mean that as a compliment. Natalie Martinez, that's the star of the show, and Ronald Pete, who really, he could be playing Sterling K. Brown's brother in something, because his acting was just as on point, and he's got just these just the chops, the acting chops. So yeah, I would say watch it for those 3. The secondary characters kind of one-dimensional, but it's not their fault. I'm not faulting them for that, but overall not too bad. Not great, but not bad either. So, but it is worth checking out should you want to pass some time, and check it out. But I also would love to review the Dark Crystal series that recently came out, but I have not yet watched the movie. I started to, but it was a little too creepy for at the time I was trying to watch it. So I'm like, I need to do this later when I can focus and understand why these people look so creepy. or puppets rather.
I was about to say Dark Crystal. That's a kids movie, though, right?
It is. It's rated PG, but it's
okay. Yeah.
weird and confusing. And I was kind of half asleep at the time I tried to watch it, so I'm like, I can't do this right now. I need to focus and understand what's going on because I don't. So
yeah.
So I need to watch the movie first because as we are, you and I, we're purists and completionists. So I need to start from the beginning before I do this series. I hear a lot of people talk about the series, and I want to watch it. So yeah. So all of that said, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we have our segments because I have stuff on space. I have Sheboygan news, and I have our Black History fact. I already gave you your word, but when we return to the Indu podcast, we'll be right back.
The Indu.
Hey, dear listeners, just a gentle reminder that you can support the Indube Network by subscribing to the Indube Patreon at patreon.com/Indube.
But hold up, Sterling. I keep hearing about this website. What is Patreon?
So glad you asked. Patreon is a membership platform where subscribers can pay, fund, or donate to creators for content. In other words, if you subscribe for a small monthly fee, you can get bonus podcasts, reviews, videos, and just awesome extra goodies from the Indube Network.
So all that extra stuff we couldn't fit in this episode they're listening to right now will be on the Patreon?
Exactly, and so much more.
Oh, really? Well, where does my money go?
Well, podcasts cost money. Microphones, conferencing software, and host websites aren't free. So every little bit that a patron chips in helps produce the content they already love and enjoy. And for your contributions, based on how much you give per month, we'll unlock more perks to be enjoyed that are created specifically for patrons.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. So where do I go again?
Patreon.com/Indube. Browse around. Some posts are free. Most are $1, but you're free to do more and you will get more. And we at the Indube Network will certainly appreciate the help keeping the studio lights on.
That's for sure. And thank you to the patrons that are already supporting and enjoying all that extra bonus content. Like that one video where you did that one thing you said you wouldn't, couldn't, and shouldn't do.
Oh, I know. And I almost got killed to death trying to do it, but I did it and now it's done.
That was hilarious.
Good times.
Good times.
And welcome back to the Indube podcast. What should we do first? I'll ask you.
Let's do Sheboygan.
Okay, we'll do Sheboygan news. As I open up this link here. Good morning, Sheboygan. 8th Street will have 3 new storefronts come October. These aren't permanent establishments, though, so be sure to pop in before they're gone. And just to give you a brief summary, basically, there are 3 pop-up shops coming to downtown Sheboygan this fall. I'm excited. You should be excited. One of them is selling tea. I'm not crazy about tea, but I know some of you are. So go get some tea. One of them is called Nest: Adorn. It's a fashion boutique for the beauty and comfort and just fashionable. So go check that out. Get all snazzy and stuff. The tea shop is called Cultivate Taste, by the way. And the other one is a hometown bakery, but for dogs. So get your little, your little pooch some cookies because
Self-care for the pups.
Good boys and girls.
Yeah, they're all good boys and girls.
Right. So go do that. I mean, I actually really would go get cookies for my dog, even though I got this really giant bone. He ate some of it, and the rest of it is still in his bed. Like he just hasn't eaten it. Like, what's wrong with you? I thought you were my child. You're supposed to love cookies as much as I do. What's wrong with you? He's still a good boy, though. He's actually in the room. He's actually being quiet. He's being a good boy. So, shout out to Chief.
Best boy.
Yes, the best boy. And we will go with our Black History fact for this episode. I didn't do a whole article. I didn't have time. I was doing the best I could to find something. But I do have this fact for you.
Black history.
Black history.
Black history. Black history. Facts.
On July 9th, 1893, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams performed the first open heart surgery.
Wow.
Yes.
In 18 what?
1893.
Oof.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
I can't at all, because I'm like, I'm really trying to put my mind in that headspace or that time period, and all I can see is like sepia tone everything. So I'm sure I know they had color back then. It wasn't invented.
Did they?
I don't know, because
I don't know
eventually
if they did.
at some point, and I'm thinking it was like the 1920s where it changed from sepia tone to just pure black and white. And then,
I thought it was the other way around. No?
you would think that.
I don't know.
But, you know, I think of like the pictures of like Abraham Lincoln, and those are all still like sepia tone stuff too. So, so it wasn't until later where they discovered, hey, we can just print everything in regular black and white. We don't need this, you know, grungy look. So they moved up, and then the flappers happened, and then eventually they started with TV where you had to crank it up on the side, and then eventually color came, like I think in the 60s. So there you go. You have your history of color. That'll be, I guess, a new feature we'll do on the podcast too. Now, I actually have 2 space stories for you. I'm sorry. Space. I do an effect. So, because, yeah. And even at the time, I kept confusing the 2 of them. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to include both of them. And I feel like the best way to tell you each thing is how we would be traveling in space. So the first one is, as it loads for me, a lunar space elevator is actually feasible and inexpensive, as scientists find.
Lunar space elevator.
Right. So basically...
So like an elevator that goes to the moon.
Yes. Now, I didn't actually read this article. I just saw the headline and I got excited. I'm like, oh my God, a space elevator. So and then I just kind of just ran away with that. Like, oh my God, they're going to make a space elevator. They're not making one yet. They're just saying that it's possible and it's not as expensive.
And basically that they should do it.
Right. Because it does make more sense, because we waste so much. Well, not we per se. Well, yeah, I think because the taxpayers were funding NASA. So yeah, we waste so much money sending rockets, using all that fuel and everything, where this would be, and it wasn't even supposed to be that way. Like I think only just tested it out and we just kept doing it. And that seemed to be like the best way to get to space. Whereas I don't think that was we weren't supposed to keep doing it. We're supposed to be innovating and finding different, better ways to get up to space. But no, we just kept doing that. So yeah, it's possible. There is a whole article. I think what I'll do is I'll just attach the article to the show notes so you can check it out for yourself. Because I didn't do my due diligence and I didn't actually read the article itself. Like I said, I just got excited and started running and just telling everybody, like Randy and Art and Fazal, like, we're going to space with an elevator, and they're nuts. So yeah, that's happening, or it could happen. I don't know. I haven't read it. Read the article. You tell me. The other space news, this one I actually heard about on, I heard it on Colbert, and then I saw the article. But the first space hotel set to open in 2025 with cruise ship style amenities.
Ooh,
yeah,
that sounds cool.
It sounds well. I think that's part of it. Would you actually do it, knowing what we know about space and all the space movies and how space tries to kill you? You still want to do it?
Well, in theory, it sounds really cool. Now, if I would actually try to be a part of it, maybe not so much. I don't know.
I don't either, and I also don't know how much it costs. Like, I'm pretty sure this is also included in this article, but due to those things. I don't know. It sounds interesting though, because I already have a fascination like with hotels. I like traveling to them and just opening all the drawers and things. And we both have recently been on like trips and we sent videos to each other of like, show me your room. So yeah. So yeah, it definitely has to have a pretty awesome like an awesome view. Oh, I lied. It wasn't Colbert. It was The Daily Show, because Trevor Noah was making jokes on how often you can say "wow" because you all the
yes,
like wow. It's still. So because they'll have movie theaters on this cruise ship, because that was the point he was making. How like why would you go to space to watch a movie? But then you're like, well, I guess if you're done watching, Earth, then you might as well go see a movie because like you'll be bored after a little while. So.
Yeah, true facts.
So I get it. But yeah, I will check out this article a bit more to see what else they will have. But okay, in quotes, I'm seeing Starship Culture. So already that just grabs the mind of Star Trek. So you have to do it, Courtney, because that's the closest you're going to get to Star Trek.
I agree. That's true.
Okay. All right, cool. You're down. I will wish you well. I'm kidding. I may go too.
You're going to go.
Yeah.
You can't help yourself.
I kind of have to. Like.
Yeah. For research. It's for science. For science.
Exactly. It's for science. All right. I think that about does it. I don't have any more notes here. Let me make sure. And yeah, we're good. Okay, good. Do you have any shout outs or things you want to plug? Anything like that? Anything we should be watching? Any recommendations?
So if you haven't watched RBG, like me, the documentary, you need to go check it out on Hulu. I've heard it's amazing. We all know that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is the GOAT, and to see her actually laughing and like being a normal person like us, because she's a goddess, right? So to see her be like a normal person like us that's it. So yeah, check that out. If you want to chat me up or check out what I'm up to, you can find me on the Twitters at IamKHinton. And we can talk about Friends and Seinfeld and things we have nothing to do with and have never watched before in our lives. See where that conversation goes.
Right. Sounds good. I just may follow up and do that on the Twitters. I will say it's still in the works because actually it hasn't finished, but I am recommending checking out the current run on X-Men. It's House of X and Powers of X. They go back and forth. You have to get both of them. It's a limited run. The most recent one, actually one came out today. It's September 18th when we're recording. But the issue 6, I think, of Powers of X has got to be one of the most interesting comic books I think I've read because we meet Mr. Sinister, but we meet a couple Mr. Sinisters. And I think even before I read it, I heard someone calling him Mr. Sassy. Oh my goodness. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I thought of you, Courtney, and I'm like, I know you said you're busy, but you need to probably check this one out because it's crazy. It needs to be something to behold. I say all that to say that in the near future, I will be teaming up with Megashine. So Victor and Nick, I think we are going to be discussing and reviewing the Powers of X and the House of X, this current X-Men run. I don't know. We haven't discussed details yet, so stay tuned on that, and we will be discussing it. So if you want to join in, be sure to check out these comics. It's well worth it. Great take on this story of X-Men, because we love X-Men, if you haven't noticed already, even though we completely kind of bashed Dark Phoenix, this most recent movie. We still very much love it, and that's why we watch it, and that's why we care. So do check that out and keep an eye out for that. I feel like there was something else that was happening, but maybe not. The next couple episodes should be pretty fun, though. I believe we have a couple guests maybe lined up, and that should be fun. And I think we're going to be playing 20 questions soon, because yes, no one has been sending us any mail. So I'm like, well, let me just find some mail for us to answer anyway. So that should be fun.
Good idea.
Yes. So in the meantime, follow me on all things at Indoob. I've been trying to use my Instagram a bit more. Every time I find a giraffe, I will try to post a picture of it. So there's been at least 2 in the past month. So enjoy. And go to indoob.com to find the TeePublic store for merch, and Patreon to support, get perks. Ask us questions by emailing indoobpod@gmail.com. Please rate, comment, and share the pod on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and Podbean. Shout out to Podcast, by the way, because they keep adding new podcasts like every other day, and they're just taking over. What's
their name?
Parcast. That network,
Parcast.
Yeah, the Parcast network. Their most recent podcast is Sports Criminals.
Huh.
Yes, they found a way to make a whole podcast around all the sports criminals, which is
wow.
Because they already have 2 daily podcasts, one for horoscopes, one for true crime of the day, or like some true crime that has happened on this day. They have a podcast for it. So yeah, I already subscribed to, I think, 3 of them. The Truth or the Dark Side of. Right now they're doing the Dark Side of music. Before that, I think it was the Dark Side of movies. I also subscribe to Mythology. So they do a mythology story every week. And Tales. So they'll tell the true story of like some fairy tale that you've heard, but the true story or where it came from. So those are just...
Ooh, now that one I want to hear.
Yeah. I did listen to... what is it? It's not UFOs, but it deals with aliens, paranormal. They had that one. I unsubscribed to that one only because there was just too many stories. And then sometimes whenever they have a new podcast, they repeat the same podcast of that like preview of it. I'm like, okay, I can't take it anymore. So it was just too many. So check out Parcast. There's a whole lot of things. Like I'm pretty sure, even you, Courtney, I'm pretty sure there's at least 2 or 3 that you'll find. They're like, oh, I need to subscribe to this because they've got a lot. So just wanted to shout them out a little bit because that's kind of been a lot of what I've been listening to. So yeah, but they're on Spotify. In fact, I think they exclusively like to promote their stuff on Spotify, but they're everywhere. Spotify is taking over not only your music, but your podcast. Thank you so much for supporting, listening, stopping by, and pressing play. Tell someone you value that you value them. Live without regrets and live for the folks you love. I've been your benevolent host, T. Sterling Watson. And remember, if the world didn't suck, we'd all fall off. Stay fresh, cheese bags.
No.
The Indoob Podcast is recorded in a studio somewhere on planet Earth. The Indoob Podcast is part of the Indoob Network. And if you'd like to get in contact with the Indoob Podcast, please email indoobpod@gmail.com. That is indoobpod@gmail.com. You can find the Indoob Podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play, and of course, Podbean, or wherever podcasts may be procured. If you'd like to find out more information, please visit indoob.com, where you can find our store, the blog, and of course, our Patreon, if you'd like to support and donate and find more perks and fun things to listen to and watch. For Chief, DJ Joe Daddy, Bilford, this is T. Sterling Watson, signing off. Thank you so much for listening. Use your words, Chief. Good boy. This has been another 3SFX production.